Hey, you guys, it is Saturday, October 15th, 2022, talking to you at the end of our first week after Hurricane Irma, and just wanted to say I'm so proud of you for the 3-2-1 responses that you did. I'm going to give you a little mini lecture here and hope that you watch it, and I'll try to make it as quick as possible so that you can use it as one of the things that you need to study for the quiz next week. So, this is called a Screencastomic. Watch it, and I've got the Word document for you. So regarding metacognition, it's great that you're thinking about your learning. The diversity of strategies is amazing. It's why I teach the way I do, giving so many options. The bottom line is the more senses that you use, the better you learn. See, hear, say, touch, even smell. Pick the ones that work for you. It's why I do the flipped classroom. You need to teach yourself. Teach is the flip side of learn. And that's why we've got all those videos. Center for Academic Achievement. That's why I use Mastering Biology, Cahoots. There's lots of stuff. Obviously, the key is repeat, repeat, repeat over and over again as much as you need to. Basic first level is learn the vocabulary. The next level is apply it and understand it. You have to memorize. You have to do a lot of work. Some of you are auditory learners. Some are visual. Focus on the lecture and not note-taking is what works for some of you. Some of you can't take notes while you're listening. Some of you like the dynamic study modules. Explaining it to other labs help. Writing helps. Loves paper. Some of you said you can't study in your dorm. So go somewhere else. Find new roommates. Go to the library. Get your study buddies. That's why I arranged you the way I did in the class and kept having you move around so that you can find the people that you're comfortable with and can study with them. So some of the things you requested, can you do more study guide definitions like in class? Yeah, but look how long it took, and look at the chaos and confusion that we have in the classroom depending upon how prepared you guys are. So do it outside of class with others. Do the Cahoots. How do you retain information better? Study, 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 repeat, repeat, repeat. Go to Center for Academic Achievement. They have some worksheets and stuff. The study guide I gave you, you remember that after the first test, I gave you that thing that said, what did you do to prepare? Go back and look at that. One of the things that really helps is that you have to be happy. You have to have fun. That's incredibly important. That's a mindset. Professor Martha Rosenthal here makes games for her classes and teaches her students to make games. So you'll love her. She lectures great too. She teaches neuroscience, drugs and society, human sexuality. Hopefully you get to take some classes with her. Now, Cahoots is really good and fun. I'll make some links available to you for some that are made, but you're even better making your own. But I'll put those up in the biology study guide that's in Canvas. Regarding statements, questions, clarification. Metabolism. The first law of thermodynamics and the law of conservation of energy. Okay, the first law is conservation of energy. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It simply changes forms, and we need energy to maintain order, and that energy is often in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And usually when we do a reaction to build things, it requires energy. Energy is stored in those bonds. And every time we do a reaction, there's a energy requirement, transfer, lots of stuff, watch the videos. Oftentimes energy is released as heat. So that is what explains the second law of thermodynamics, which is that the universe tends toward disorder. And entropy is the definition of disorder of the universe, okay? Life requires order. It's possible due to the constant input of energy to a system within the universe, right? And that's where you need the ATP. Second law is valid because we're exchanging organism, removing it in the form of heat, okay? And every organelle is a little system that we're using to maintain order and function as these incredible eukaryotic multicellular organisms. Biology, or, viruses and bacteria are a super cool tool, but not nearly as complex in some ways. Many of you asked about metabolism, catabolism, and unableism. So catabolism is breaking apart. It is exergonic. Remember, macromolecules are storing energy. When we do a catabolic reaction. We call it hydrolysis, breaking with water. Since we put water back in when we break it apart, we put a hydroxyl on one side and a hydrogen on the other. Okay, that's, oh, I'm sorry, this anabolic, anabolic is building. It requires energy. It's endergonic. It usually converts ATP to ADP and uses that phosphate as the energy to drive the reaction. Again, release of heat to maintain the second law of thermodynamics, which is the increase in chaos, in disorder in the universe. All right. Let's see. And then just repeating again the stuff from the first unit. Dehydration reaction is to remove water, and when you remove water, you make water, right? OH from one, H from the other. You make water, H2O, and that's called either a condensation reaction, or the other term is dehydration, removing water. Okay, dehydrate. All right, then let's get on to Gibbs free energy. I don't want this lecture to go on too long. Gibbs free energy is known as the Gibbs function, or it's also called free enthalpy. And it's a quantity that's used to measure the maximum amount of work done in a thermodynamic system, blah, blah, blah. If I keep going, it's going to be way too long. Let me get to the fact that the triangle symbol is called delta. It means change in. We're going to use it in math. Also, major a lot in math when you get to calculus, which is super cool. Delta is one of many Greek or Latin alphabets, used a lot in the names of sororities and fraternities. So that's a way to help remember them. For example, so delta is a capital D, and delta, delta, delta is the National Honor Society for Women in Science. That's their webpage. Another professor, Felicia Goulet-Miller, is the faculty mentor. Check the Canvas guide for her information. If you're going into nursing, you'll probably have a course with Professor Miller. She teaches microbiome. This is the equation. Delta G is the change in enthalpy. Delta H minus temperature times delta S, which is the change in entropy. Okay, here's another way to say it. And what I want you to know for this class, for right now, all you need to do is Gibbs free energy is how spontaneous a reaction is. If the delta G is negative, it's exergonic, and it releases energy, and then it is spontaneous. If delta G is positive, it's endergonic, requires energy, and it's non-spontaneous. Okay, a little more on diffusion and osmosis, including membranes, hypertonic, hypotonic, isotonic. You need to watch those videos. Turgid, a plant is turgid when the cell is full of water, okay, and it can stand up straight. Diffusion is anything going from high concentration to low concentration with the concentration gradient. Does not require energy. Within diffusion, there is facilitated diffusion, which means something's helping, usually an integral membrane protein that crosses the membrane. Aquapora Osmosis is a specific type of diffusion. That's how I've got this outline made up. Specialized diffusion of water across a membrane, okay? One of the proteins that does facilitated diffusion is called Aquaporin. That's what you saw in the ecstasy experiment. It allows water across a membrane. Water's hydrophilic. In order to get across that membrane that's mostly hydrophobic, you need the integral membrane protein, blah, blah, blah. Active transport goes against the concentration gradient. So that's a lot of what we're going to see in Chapter 9. It requires energy. Often that energy is ATP. But you're also going to see, we also are going to use energy carriers, NADP, NADPH, FAD, all of that you're going to see in Chapter 8. And what they're doing is, you know, ATP, that final P is the most energy, but even just protons and the electron that they carry is a source of energy. So that's all of Chapter 8. You're going to love it. So ATP, we need to move that ATP, you know, organelles, a cytoskeleton in or in a cell is how you move all these organelles around, ATP, you know, all of that is how that cell works. That's chapter 6, right? So don't forget to study that for the test. Go back to membranes, keep watching the videos. Remember that there's 6 different types of membrane proteins. It's going to be on the test. Part of it will be on the quiz. I'm thrilled that so many of you are asking questions about ATP. Structure function, right? There's actually a POGL specifically for ATP in Module 2. Scroll to the bottom and you will find the POGLs. Sorry, I don't have that link handy for you to go onto that screen, but I'll split this into 2 since I'm already at 10 minutes.